The stories that I told when my back is to the world that was smiling when I turned. But once you turn, they hate us. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy.
Assalamualaikum and hope you all in the being health. My name is Muhammad Amir Hakim Ibn Musa from Group 7. The region that we choose is Northern Africa and Southwestern Asia. As you can see here is a world map both of the region. The Middle East is a region which includes most of the Western Asia and Africa north of Sahara. Middle East also is an ethnocentric which describes lands by their location relative to Europe. The boundaries of Northern Africa and Southwestern Asia are primarily coastline, with a line drawn in the south through the Sahara along the country boundaries. Mountain range mark the northern and eastern limit of Turkey and Iran include Sudan. Northern Africa and Southwestern Asia is one of the most influential and politically consensus world region. Now, we're moving on to the climate of this region. There are three types of climate for this region, which is dry arid, semi-arid, and continental arid. In a dry arid, the temperature can be as high as 58 Celsius and as low as 1 Celsius. There are also lack of cloud cover which will make the night cool, and it also rain irregularly at the dry arid climate. Because of this, not many population live in this area. If there are population live in the area, most of them live in a nomad way. Next is a semi-arid climate, which is the second most dry climate. Semi-arid climate is a dry, grassy plain often occur in this climate, which means it's lie between the tropic and polar region. The mean annual temperature for this climate is 18 Celsius or 0 Celsius in the coldest month. The region of land cover this climate small part, northern part of the Northern Africa region. Okay, as for the last climate is the continental climate. Okay, continental climate. For this climate, the temperature is very cold in the winter, hot in the summer, and little rain in the fall. The average temperature is between 0 Celsius to 10 Celsius. The example region of land that have continental climate is Turkey and Iran. For fun fact, winter snowfall provide meltwater that feed the Tigris Euphrates river system. Now we'll be moving on to the environmental problem, which is salinization, oil pollution, and desertification. Salinization is known as a process irrigation farming in arid area requires good management to prevent high rate of evaporation from drawing salt to the surface soil, which reduce or destroy crop productivity, which means adding too much water waterlog the soil and concentrate salt at the surface. Next is an oil pollution problem. The oil industry has become a major polluter throughout over the world, and this region cannot escape from that too. As example, the Persian Gulf had lost most of its plants and animal life as a result of oil pollution. Lastly, for environmental problem is desertification. Desertification means the conversion of non-desert land into desert. It is one of the major environmental issues in North Africa and Southwest Asia. It is because climate change is the result of desertification. Why? As temperature increase due to global warming, as a result, the climate change and the plant die, which then cause no tree and vegetated land to a form. For the next point, I will give to Mr. Amir Arif to explain. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Samuel Azman, and now I will explain about the culture and history, or history and culture of the North Africa region and the Southwestern Asian region. North Africa, there's one of the earliest civilization in the world. That is in the Egypt, the old kingdom of Egypt. And before, in the long time before this, there has Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Then after the merge came the old kingdom of Egypt, and then came to the new kingdom of Egypt. And during this time, there's several dynasties that have been region as the pharaohs. And some of the popular pharaohs like Tutankhamun, Joseph, Xerxes, even the Ramses II, another popular pharaohs have been region through this era. After the era ended by the Macedonian Empire led by Alexander the Great, then the Egypt is region by Ptolemy the First, and the Ptolemy dynasty started. Then until the region of the Cleopatra the Seventh, and after the Cleopatra the Seventh's death, and the Egypt fall under the Roman Empire. As we know that the Roman Empire is one of the greatest empire in the history of the humankind, and several popular leaders like Augustus, Trajan, and Marcus Aurelius, and others emperors, the popular emperors, even the late era of the Roman Empire such as Constantine the Great. And after several years, after the third century crisis and others, and the Roman Empire started to break apart into the two, and the Western and Eastern Empire, and the Western fall, and leaving the Eastern as sole Roman Kingdom, and now popularly known as the Byzantine Empire, and they continue to exist until the fall of Constantinople by the Ottoman Empire led by Mehmed II. Okay, I will jump a bit to the Southwestern Asia that at the time is really dominated by the Persian Empire like Achaemenian, the Parthians, and others. So then we see that in the 1600s, the rise of Islam, rise of Muslim kingdom under the leadership of first our beloved Prophet Muhammad SAW, and then continue with the Rashidun Caliphate, Umayyad Caliphate spreaded the Islamic kingdom until the Spain, and even Abbasid Caliphate, and in the Egypt we have Ayyubid Caliphate, and popular during the Crusade era, and then we have the Mamluk Sultanate in the Egypt, and then we have Ottoman Empire, even though the Ottoman region is in the Turkey, and still considered a great Muslim empire. At this time, really like a golden age of the Muslim country, the Islam, because so many several kingdoms rise up during this time. And then we go to the modern part. Then the Southwestern Asia, even the Egypt, Algeria, even Libya, Morocco, been at some point held by the Ottoman Empire. And then after the Ottoman Empire fell after World War I, and there's several countries, and then even after World War II, and we have this current country that we have like Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, and Lebanon, and Jordan, Syria, and even Palestine is the example of country that we have nowadays. This is like a brief history of the region. Now we go to the religion, and if we see that the region North Africa and Southwestern Asia, we automatically see the region is what? Islam, Christian, and the Jews, or the Judaism. Okay, I will explain a little bit about this religion in general. As we know that Judaism is a religion that worship the Yahweh, their God, creator and the lawgiver. And as we know that Judaism is a religion that was established in Palestine about 2000 BC, and Judaism really related with Abraham, with Moses. We know the Moses, and also with the current Judaism really related with Israel, and we surrounding the Israel and Palestine conflicts. And in the Judaism, so there's story, if you guys know about the 12th tribe of Israel, the son of the prophet Jacob. Then another information that in the 70 AD that the Roman Empire army destroyed the Jerusalem and dispersed Jews. As we know that before that, Jerusalem is a really hot spot and popular spot with the three religions in the region. There is Islam, the Judaism, and the Christianity. Okay, next we go to the Christianity, and I will keep simple as I can. And for Christianity, didn't really evolve. If we see or we say or we think about Christianity, we always think about the Jesus Christ or the Jesus and the life of Jesus, death of Jesus. And the Christian also believe that the Jesus is their Messiah. And I want to add it that the Christian religion is once became the main religion of the Roman Empire under the region of Emperor Constantine during the 300s AD, and then after the era of the Roman Empire and so on, there's a split between the Eastern and the Western Christianity, where the Eastern have Orthodox and the Western have Catholics. Yeah, even the Western then in the medieval era, the Reformation era, they also split out. They have currently we have a Protestant, Anglican, Lutheranism, and so on. Now we go to the most familiar and the most in our heart, that is the Islam religion. As we know, Islam is evolved in the Mecca in the 600s under leadership of our beloved Prophet, that is Prophet Muhammad. And the Islam religion also worship one God, is Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And even after the death of Prophet Muhammad, his teaching and his fighting continue with the Rashidun Caliphate, the Umayyad Caliphate, the Abbasid Caliphate, even the Ayyubid Caliphate, even the Ottoman Empire. Islam continue to grow even after the death of Prophet Muhammad. Okay, at this time, I would say that it's like golden age of the Muslim, that we expansion with the science, the calligraphy, the arts, even the military expansion. As we know that Rashidun Caliphate, Umayyad, Abbasid also has so many war and so many military expansion that in the end they got the Persian, they got the Egypt, they got even the Andalusia and so on. Okay, I want to add that even Islam also have their split in the region, that is the Sunni and Shia. As we know that currently we are the Sunnis, and the Shia usually the one who follow the Caliph Ali and family, and it's really doesn't really acceptable in our life and our religion, because what we believe is the Sunnis with the Al-Quran and the Sunnis, the Sunnah. Now we go to the organization within the region. That the first I will explain about the Palestine Liberalization Organization, or the PLO. Okay, the PLO is founded in the 1964 during the Cairo Summit in the Egypt, and it's a political organization providing an umbrella for many small groups and organizations that demand the country of Palestine, or the country for the Palestine. And it's also the one of member of the Arab League, and they also has recognized and considered by the United States and Israel as a terrorist group organization until the Madrid Conference in 1991. And in 1993, the PLO recognized, unfortunately, the Israel right to exist in the region, and they reject the violence and terrorism. And they also officially recognize, and even the Israel officially recognize the PLO as a representative of the Palestinian people. And even in 1974, it recognized the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, with over 100 states which is heavily engaged with the diplomatic missions and relations. As we know, that Arabic is created after the World War in 1945, and is used Arabic as an official language, and is established in order to against the Israel united the Arab country and to against the establishment of the nation of Israel. And first they have 7 founding members as the only independent country at the time, but the member is continue to grow, and currently have 22 countries as the members. And even after 1979 Egypt Accord with Israel, as we know that the Camp David Accord between the Israel and the Egypt, and then they expelled Egypt from the league. And then between 1958 to 1961, Egypt and Syria has joined as the United Arab Republic to persuade the Arabic country to unite and commit their future in a single Arabic country. But however, the Arab League is kind of weaker nowadays. Even the 80s, 90s, they kind of weak due to continued military tension, defeats, disunity within the country, and even the continual crisis with the Israel-Palestine crisis, and even the resources issue basis among the country, and that forced this league organization kind of weak right now. This is the list of the members of the Arab League stated in 2018. We see that certain countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Lebanon, Algeria, Bahrain is part of this Arab League. OIC, or the full name is Organization Islamic Conference, the Organization of the Islamic Conference, or OIC. And the OIC is established in 1970s, set up by the Foreign Minister of the Muslim world, and OIC is relatively as the representative of the Muslim voice, as the voice of the Muslim country. And the priority of this organization is to bring back the Jerusalem under the Palestinian control, and the official language of this organization is Arabic, English, and somehow French. And the conference is held every 3 years, and even though the organ and department of the conference or organization is meeting frequently, and even the conference is seeking to promote the cooperation amongst members in terms of the economic, scientific, culture, and even the political issues. Is the 2019 list member of the OIC, and we see that Malaysia also part of this conference. We have Indonesia, we have even the Bangladesh and other countries. Last one, we go to the OPEC, or the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Country. And if by name we already know about the petroleum, and the OPEC is founded in 1960 during the meet between the Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Venezuela, and Baghdad. And as we know that this country is popular with the petroleum and the oil as an oil country. And the purpose of this organization is to work as a cartel, mostly in the oil. And the country also joined by the Qatar, Indonesia, Libya, UAE, Algeria, Ecuador, Gabon, and even the Angola. And even in 2011, OPEC have 12 members, and currently OPEC have 13 members of the organization. And the OPEC, I will say that once they had an oil embargo in 1973, as if we read, there is oil crisis. In order to counter the Arab-Israel conflict or Arab-Israel war in 1973, and the control and the embargo is really affected the world until they call it the oil crisis in 1973. And even the late 1990s, the OPEC oil producer and major industrial countries have a stable price, or the oil price, and the interest lay in the moderately high. Okay, this is I think the latest one of the OPEC member in 2020. There see the Kuwait, Libya, and Saudi Arabia, and even UAE is part of this organization. Okay, now we go to, I would say, some kind of issue within the region. There is water politics, and for me that is quite unsurprisingly water, because for me that this kind of region really is some kind of problem with the water. And issue that I want to describe today is the desalination plan, the Nile River Agreement, the Turkish dam, and the Palestine-Israel water issue. So desalination. Okay, for all of you don't know what is desalination is. Desalination is some kind of process that you take salt out of water, out of seawater, and make it more drinkable for people and for irrigation, for agriculture, and really invest heavily in the desalination plants. And Saudi Arabia and UAE account for 30% of world's capacity and contain the 10th most largest desalination plants. And Saudi Arabia also receives 70% of its fresh water from desalination plants, and it's really consumed of the region's oil supplies. And also planning nuclear power plants to supply the energy needed for desalination. And desalination capacity is really increasing 10% by every year. Okay, now we go to Nile River Valley Agreement. In 1959, the government of Egypt and Sudan reached and shared an agreement named Nile Water Agreement, and in 1970, the built Aswan Dam near the Lake Nasir. The dam fed by the Nile River and the reservoir formed near the Lake Nasir. And the objective is for water storage and generate electricity. And they calculate that this dam should able to store water for 15 years. However, they proved wrong. In 1988, they proved it wrong because they only are able to store last 18 years, 1970 to 1988, and they are forced to discharge water and reduce to maintain the flow through the river. Okay, now we go to the series of the dam construction by the Turkish government. And the Turkish government built a dam near the southeastern Turkey, and the upper reach the Tigris and the Euphrates River. And they built a dam, in order to irrigate the land and to increase the production of the agriculture. But in the end, it just caused tension between the two countries, Iraq and Syria, because the dam caused the water diverts from the two countries. Now we go to the Israel-Palestine water crisis. And even though Israel received the rainfall or water rain, the total rainfall is low, and the summer brought the water shortage for the country. And even the country is depend external sources of 20% is the water. And the backlash used to farming but can damage soils if too much used for many seasons. And the government retains the authority near the West Bank and Golan Heights for their defense and the water access. And even now they have a peace negotiation with the Kingdom of Jordan, includes agreement to use the Jordan River water basin.
Now we have come to the sub-region of Northern Africa and Southwestern Asia. In this region, they are divided to three sub-regions, which is Northern Africa, Arab Southwest Asia, and Nile River Valley. For Northern Africa, as you can see here, is the map of the sub-region. There are 4 countries that listed in Northern Africa, which is Libya, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. In this Northern Africa region, there are 3 major economic activity, which the first one is services. What I mean by services is like a tourism industry, where the name of the company is Moroccan National Tourist. As a fact, this company is the biggest tourist company in Morocco that has so much to offer for their customer. Furthermore, we go to the next economic activity, which are the mining activity or mining industry, which are mostly done in Tunisia. There are one company that has been longest in this business, which is Société du Jebel Dervissa, which the first headquarter can be seen in this line. The company is founded in 1899 and began its operation in 1907. The company has produced up to 700,000 tons per year of human ore in the year before World War II. But the production has dropped after the war end. The last economic activity in this sub-region is agriculture industry or known as harvesting activities, where the company that lead there is named Al Hidayah. The economic activity is taken place in southern Tunisia. Why Tunisia, you say? It is because this region is well known for its microclimate, allowing early harvests for its underground water resources.
And today we will discuss regarding the Nile River region. And the Nile River region that consists 2 countries, that is Egypt and Sudan. Okay, now we go to the 3 economic activities that occur in the Nile River. That first is cotton activities that fall under the agriculture industry and located mainly in the Alexandria, Egypt, and is managed by the Abu Madawi company. Next, that is service activity that fall under obviously the tourism and usually occur in the Great Pyramid of Giza in the Egypt and usually managed by the Aswan Private Tours. Okay, now we go to the transport service that obviously is under transportation industry, usually at the Nile River, and it managed by the Egypt National Railways.
We're moving on to the last sub-region, which is Arab Southwest Asia. Beside me, you can see the Arab Southwest map. There are many countries listed in Arab Southwest Asia, which is Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanese, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Yemen, UAE, and Syria. It's all together is 11 countries. As there are so many countries, I will specify the economic activity to the most oil producing country and to the two non or little oil producing countries. The list of oil producing countries are Bahrain, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. The first economic activity in oil producing countries are airline services, or known as aviation industry. I think we all know that the world largest airline operator in Middle East are Emirates Airline, right? Which the airline service is founded in Dubai. Moving on to the next commodity in oil producing countries are services. For example, the service that I mean is resort industry, which takes place in Egypt, and the company that lead this are Sharm El Sheikh. For your information, this company is the biggest company that contributing to the evolution of Egyptian tourism. Last but not least, the economic activity for oil producing countries are mining, or known as petroleum industry. As we know, if talk about petroleum, the industry, then it must be located at Saudi Arabia. The lead company in this industry named Saudi Aramco, which known to operate the world's largest single hydrocarbon network, the master gas system. For the next one about non or little oil producing countries, I will pass to Mr. Amarif to explain. Thank you very much.
We have the non or little oil producing countries such as Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and Jordan. The first is the service activity, fall under the tourism industry, and according to Software Yemen, and usually have by the Jubari travel. Next we go to the farming activity that fall under the agriculture industry and usually held at the Zalqa, Lebanon, and managed by the Inma Agriculture SARL. Okay, the last one is the clothing activity that fall under the manufacturing industry that held at the Zarqa, Jordan, and managed by Noble Appearance, Jordan.